board meeting.
Is it, oh, wait a minute, I don't know.
Here, one here.
Yeah, that's yours, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't, because this stuff is old stuff, that came out of my folder. Right. That's yours, yeah.
Could we all stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing, and please give us our invocation time.
Father God, we come before you tonight asking for your wisdom, knowledge, and discernment for those representing us to know your will for Princetown. We ask your peace and unity that only you can give. Thank you for working your will in our town. Bless those who represent us and their families. We pray, as your word says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We declare this for our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Nancy. Nice to see you again.
Please remain standing for a minute. Gerard's nephew was killed in a tragic car accident. He was riding his bicycle in California. He's a college student. Am I correct in that? He was a college student, and I'd like to have a moment of silence for him, if we could. All right, I'm very sorry for your loss. Sandy, could you please read the roll?
Councilman Pavoli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Here.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Councilwoman Moore is not going to be here tonight.
Supervisor Esposito?
Present. Also present is our town attorney, Gerard Parisi. Okay, Princetown Town Board meeting is called to order at 7:03. Privilege of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public should restrict their comments to items of town business, although there is no official time constraint. Speakers should be considerate of others so that all interested members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There shall be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor near the beginning of each meeting. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter into discussion with the person having the floor. Council members may address any comments during the portion of the meeting referred to as council member comments. Privilege of the floor is opened up at 7:04.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jack White, 1502 Dwaynesburg Road. First thing I'd like to do is I would like to thank our water department for this year. They've been putting in long hours and cold days repairing and replacing parts of aging water system we have. And so just as a resident, I would certainly like to thank Clark Collins, Wes Blessing, Gene Rousseau, and Preston Whiteley for all they've been doing with trying to keep our water system going with the problems we've been having with it. Secondly, here as a ZBA chair, I got a call from a member that every year in December, at the end of the year, they get a stipend, or certain boards get a
Speak
stipend.
up just a little bit.
I'm sorry,
I'm so hard of hearing from.
Every year we get a stipend as far as the board member is concerned, and one of the board members called me and asked me if we get it or we didn't get it. So I went back and I read the organizational meeting from 2020, and it looks like the stipend is supposed to be given if you're appointed to the board, to the ZBA board. That's something that the board can discuss or look at or whatever, but it looks like it plainly says if you're appointed to that board, you get this stipend every year. What I would like to say is, I understand that in the organizational meeting, I wasn't here and I haven't read it, that in 2020 when that was changed, the wording of that was changed. I don't know if it was or not, but I'm understanding it was. What I would like to do is tell you my opinion of that stipend for any of the boards. Now, when you're appointed to a board in the town of Princetown, you have to have harassment training, and you have to have 4 hours of training every year for some sort of zoning, to be on these zoning boards, or specific different positions. Those are state mandates, they're not anything in the town of Princetown, where the town board has requested, that they're state mandates. So those that are appointed to these boards they put in time to get this training and to do this harassment training. So I'm just thinking about this now that I got this call and looking at it, if the town wanted to, and again, I didn't see the 2021 version of the stipend, but it's my opinion the town should be looking at if they make an appointment, because we ask someone if they would like to join one of these boards, because it's a lot of hours and a lot of time they put in to do something for a meeting. I mean, we have people that just come up to my shop and ask me questions. I have somebody who's looking at doing zoning right now who doesn't have quite 100 acres of property. They're just shy a little bit. So we have to discuss with them, this time they put in besides the training that is mandated by the state. So, in my opinion, what the town board, or I suggest the town board discuss or think about is when someone says they will serve the town and they will go on a board like that, they have to be notified of this training that they have to do to fulfill that position. And if you wanted to put the stipend that after completion of this mandatory harassment training and the 4 hours of some sort of zoning training, that after completion of that, then they fulfill their responsibility, even if there is no meetings. They've already put in at least 5 hours without the driving or whatever they have to do to get this training, and at the completion of that, then they get the stipend, whatever that stipend is that the town board decides to do. Just my thought, just for your information, I think you have to go back and read the 2020 organizational meeting, and I think the stipend should be paid to the board members of the ZBA. I'm not looking for, I'm only looking to resolve a small issue, something very simple. I'm not looking that anyone gets blamed for not doing it or a misunderstanding. It was just a simple thing that I think we need to go back and look at and just resolve, that's all. So, well, other than that, thank you very much.
Was there any meetings held this year?
There was not in 2020. But we did, and the person that called me, I know did the harassment training, and I know she did 4 hours of training for the zoning. She's been on the zoning Board of Appeals for years, long before I was on it. And she's very good at what she does, and she's the one that said, geez, what happened in December? Normally we get our $200 in December. I said, gee, I didn't even think about it. I said, let me call and check, and that's when I called you. And you said you look into it, and I said, the meeting's coming up, and let me bring this up. It just brought other thoughts to me, because as chairman of a board, I go to my board members and I say, you need to have 4 hours training. You need to do this harassment training. I don't know if they did or they didn't. I would like that everyone on the board takes on that responsibility and do it properly. So maybe if we put the stipend till they complete their responsibility, if they decided to take that position, maybe when they take the position, you have a letter or a form that this is what you have to do to fulfill this position. And so they read it, and they know that they have to do that, instead of somebody just telling them. And then they can decide whether they want to stay in that position or not. But, just to protect the town for the harassment training, and for the board members who are making decisions about this stuff, to do what the state's requiring that the town have their ZBA or their planning board or whatever boards, you know, that these members do what they're supposed to do. Everybody gets busy and they're volunteering to do this. I mean, you know, what this town pays people, I mean, they're basically volunteering to do a lot of things here. Because they want to help out, they want to be part of the town, but, so they put it on a back burner, and next thing you know, the year goes by and they don't do the 4 hours training or that one chance to do the harassment training. You know, I mean, I had to do mine on the phone because I ended up with my family at Aubrey Medical Center, so I just grabbed my phone and I went down and I logged in on my phone. And I punched the number in and I listened to the training. Actually, Mary Jo Winton and I were talking about it the next day, some of the things that we found. Funny that now it's perceived harassment, so if somebody comes in with a tattoo, now they're looking at whether that tattoo's vulgar, and is that harassment to another employee, the things that were brought up in that harassment training. So we were just discussing different things on it that we thought was, you know, is it going too far, or, you know, it's just, again, it's things that, it's in government, so it's always in discussion. You know, so, I know that people have done it, people on the board have done it, because I've discussed it with them, and I know that different people have done it. So if you just look into it, you know, if you feel that, you know, I'm correct, if you your an organizational meeting for 2020, how it says those appointed to the ZBA will get $222 or whatever it was. Just you know, just look into it and see how you all feel. And I mean, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Jack. I don't think we can make a decision on it tonight.
Oh, I just,
Talking to
again, I just wanted you to look
We're
into
gonna
it.
look at
Yeah.
what we've done in the past, and then we'll
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
back.
I know we've always gotten it.
But by next meeting, we'll have
You know,
an answer for you.
So
Okay.
the 2020 resolution just says that each member of the ZBA receives a stipend of $222.92 per member per year. And that's it. This new one has that as long as there's a meeting.
So it said if there was a meeting.
That's the new one. The 2021 says $222.92 per member, assuming contingent on having at least one meeting, is what this one says. The old one in 2020 just says each member of the ZBA receives a stipend of $222.92 per member per year.
So we owe them the money.
Yeah.
Contract.
so again, instead of what the new one says, which I didn't get a chance to read yet, my suggestion is the town would look at that again, and instead of saying if they have a meeting, even though we're on the boards, we still have to do the harassment training, we still have to do the 4 hours of training and zoning. So I would personally, as a chair of a board, I would prefer it was attached to people putting their 5 hours in of fulfilling the responsibility of that position mandated by the state. Now, if they don't have a meeting, they don't have a meeting, but they've already got, you know, hours into this. That, you know, that's my opinion, and I'm just asking the board to consider that and maybe change that to, you know, make it.
Any other comments?
I don't know if we're allowed to discuss it now or if you want to do it later, but
I think we should do it later and discuss it.
yeah.
We'll get back to you, Jack. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Is there any others? Yes, Paul?
Paul Hasbrook, 53rd Road. Our condolences.
Thank you.
We'll keep you in our prayers.
Thanks.
I've come tonight to speak as a concerned citizen. I'd like to preface my remarks to the board as I'm not here to point a finger, blame I'm here to start a conversation. A couple of things triggered why I'm here. I called Bowie on New Year's Day. Well, sorry it was New Year's Day, but we got the newsletter at the end of the month, and then our tax bills came. And when I looked over the tax bill, I noticed that there's a 22% increase in the water district tax. It's no secret to anyone that we've got a water system that's aging to, I think it's 19 years old now. And there's been problems. And I certainly echo Jack's sentiment. Clark and Wes and Gene and everybody and the board has worked diligently to try to keep our water system going. There's problems. I think everybody on the board is aware of it. I'm here to share some ideas. I'm here with some expertise as an old supervisor who's been down some of this road before, and I'm here to ask some questions and hopefully move this thing forward. There's a problem that has to be addressed. A 22% increase on our district tax is maybe allowed, but it's improper. You're mixing O&M, operation and maintenance, with the tax on the district, which was the original bond. I'm sure the problem goes back a number of years. We've not increased the rates properly on the usage to cover the costs of the district. How it happened, why it happened, it doesn't matter at this point. But I think it's extremely important that we look at it now. If we don't, we're going to be in a bigger problem 5 years from now. In the newsletter, it was mentioned in a couple of places about there's been an analysis of the problems and so forth of what over the last year. And as far as the cost per gallon to the district residents, users, is very minimal. But we've not raised the rate to cover the cost of maintaining this district. The town made a conscious decision 20 years ago, and now there's 700, 800, 900 people that depend on this district. And I know nobody wants to spend money, but we don't want a town tax. Well, that mentality has got to go away. If you don't spend the money, it's only going to get worse. That's what my concern is what's happening, what's being done, what's been put in place. I think the issue was brought up last March about this. I was not, obviously, at the meetings. You guys went through your budgets and so forth. But 1 or 2 or 3 people is not enough to brainstorm what needs to be done to solve this problem. Lou, you shouldn't have to lay awake at night worried about our water system. You're our supervisor, but that's not your job, okay? And I feel for you, and I know your heart's in the right place, but you shouldn't have to lie awake. I think one of the most important things that we could do at this point is put some expertise together. It's laying right in front of us. We've got Doug Cole, who was the town engineer who was involved in the original system. Nicole is an accountant. We've got Clark, who worked in can I take this off? Who worked for Rotterdam for many years in the water system, in the water department. I think it would behoove the town to look at putting together a committee, another set of eyes that can look at this system, look at the problems, and come up with a plan. Is there a plan? Lou, you mentioned to me we got water leaks in the tank. You got a computer system that's still not working, is that right? We got money from an insurance company to repair the computer system that's still not working. Why? whoever got the cards and put it in should have finished the job. Why are we sitting here with a computer system that doesn't work? Got paid for it.
They are repairing it now. They
But,
are-
again, I'm not, please understand, I'm trying to help with a situation that's gonna fall apart on us sooner than we think, that's all. Is there what do I wanna say? Is there a contingency fund? Is money put away every year for
We
these
are
kind of
now.
problems?
We are now. We are now.
We are now, okay,
Yes.
okay. If, one of my concerns is, and I can't answer the question, that's something that I think the committee should look into, is the original mother district was 30-year bonds. We added districts on top of that. I have no idea. I asked the question when it happened, and I think some of you guys were here. When Mike Joyce put these bonds together, what did he do? Is the original mother district now been extended beyond the 30-year bond that we were supposed to pay? Again, Lou, I don't know.
No.
But my point is that we are charging our O&M against that bond in our form of taxes. And we've got to come up with a better way of doing it. Jim, you mentioned in the newsletter, we've applied for grants.
Twice.
Is there a 5-year plan stretched out?
Every year we put in for
We,
it.
we make the.
I know you're putting in for the bond, but is there a 5-year plan stretched out as to what the maintenance needs to be on this system? So that in the meantime, if you're not getting the grants, we've got to go to a bank. We've got to get some money to make these repairs.
We've talked about going to the bank for revenue anticipation loans, but we haven't needed to do that yet.
I understand that, but now is the time to sit down and lay out a 5-year advance plan. Then you can go to the bank and get these repairs done. If we wait another year or another 2 years, where are we going to be? I think that's it. Again, I'm not criticizing that. I'm saying this is an opportunity now to do it. The thing is 20 years old. And yes, there's problems, but it's nothing that can't be solved. But it's up, if we got to pay for it, you said it yourself, it's 1/30th of 1 cent per gallon of water.
0.003.
That's nothing for the value of what that water system is for the people in this town. One of the other things that is kind of concerning to me is there was a resolution made a year or so ago not to sell anything out of the district. I don't understand that. The more people that are in that district, whether they're within the town or outside the town, help pay for that. Now, I'm not saying if a contractor comes in, and we've got it staring us right in the face right now up at Jewett, okay? I'm sure that guy wants to build houses up there, and he wants water. Right now, he can't do that. And I'm not advocating that we sell it to him. Why don't we make an agreement with Duanesburg? Sell the water to Duanesburg, let them do the infrastructure, or him do the infrastructure.
I can answer that question. I asked them that. They're not interested.
They're not interested. Okay. But
They
again,
want us to pay for the infrastructure.
I'm not talking about infrastructure for us to pay or them to pay. I'm talking about selling water to them. Let the contractor put the infrastructure in. If we sell it to Duanesburg and they don't pay their bills, then Duanesburg can tax them. If we do it to the contractor, we have no recourse.
This summer, we were on pins and needles for 2 weeks because our water was so low in the wells that we were scared to death. Remember that? We were going up there every day. Lou and I were up there every day measuring. We were scared to death for 2 weeks. Nobody knows this, but I'll tell you, at that point, we decided our obligation and responsibility was to make sure you have water, I have water, not necessarily anybody outside the town. I mean, I know this is a good reservoir out here, an aquifer, but it's not it's not indefinite. There's a limit to it. And this summer, we really got a good scare, and I remember Lou, you couldn't sleep for a couple nights.
Jim, I agree with you. But you put in the newsletter, it says, our aquifer is a fantastic source
It is.
of water, capable of providing hundreds of millions of gallons of pure water. Well, you're telling us you got hundreds of millions of gallons of pure water. We got tanks that won't turn the water over to keep it from getting stale. And now you're telling me that
This summer, we had a problem. It was the first time in years.
I'm just saying, the misinformation is what I'm talking about. You know, on one hand, you're telling us we got millions of gallons of water that we should be able to sell to somebody else, and you're also talking about selling to a private guy that wants to truck it out of town, which is great. Again, that's usage that we can get revenue from. But now you're saying the water.
Well, no, there's other people
confusing.
tapping that water, by
We're
the way.
supposed to address this in councilman concerns, and this is gonna, you know, we can do the back and forth another time, but I think. Let him finish and we can address it, I think, later on. Is that fair, Lou? Yeah.
Right, and that's all I'm saying is the misinformation of what's happening, that's all. And my concern is if we don't start it now, when are we gonna start? That's the concern that I have. And as I said, I think we need a committee. One other thing I think is important is at the beginning of the year, I think you should be getting 3 bids from 3 contractors as to who's going to be doing the emergency repairs on the system. I mean, everything else we do, we need to get bids for. And I'm not saying you can't do it on an individual breakage basis. That does not work, I understand that. But I absolutely think that you should be getting bids from different contractors of who's going to handle it for the year. I mean, that's a common thing that every town does for almost anything that you do. I think the last point I would like to make is biannual meter readings. One thing, I'm sure this has happened already, and you get a toilet that runs in somebody's house and they've gone beyond, they'll run up a $1,000 bill and not even know it. I know it's their problem, it's their fault, but you guys got to hear about it. Oh, it's a $1,000 water bill. Well, your toilet was running. Well, maybe if we'd gone in June and checked it and done the water meter reading, we would have found it. It also brings in revenue twice a year instead of once a year. I don't think it's that big an expense. I don't think it's that difficult for the number of users that we have to at least look at that type of change to the way the system is being run. Basically, that's what I'm here to talk about. And what's happening, I mean, I don't have all the information. I don't know all the wherewithal of every little thing that's going on. But those things that I've seen are the ones that concern me the most. And I think, again, this shouldn't be your guy. This isn't all your problem. We can all get together with some people in the town in a committee and come up with the answers to this and solve this problem. And I don't think it would take us more than a year or so. And I do have one other thing. This is off the water subject, but in the newsletter it was mentioned that a resolution was passed not to accept any more roads to the town. I don't get it.
I can address that.
As someone who was involved from the beginning, and Jimmy, you know this better than anybody, we put a system in place to take care of a problem that was developed years before we ever came. We have a road standard. We have a whole list of rules and laws that pertain to this. And I guess my question is, when the guy comes for the 5th building permit and you tell him no, because we don't want to take the road over that he spent all the money on up to the town standards. And he sues us, because he can. What are we going to do? That was the issue 25 years ago. We allowed more than 4 houses to be built on a private road. That system of letting them take care of it did not work. Right, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of tears shed, there was a lot of arguing, there was a lot of fighting to solve that problem. Why have we regressed back to that, saying that again? If we do that, I mean, we can be sued by anybody at any time, but this is, this is saying we don't want anybody else to move into town. And I don't think that that's a very good statement to be made from our town. We put these things in place so that we didn't have those problems. And I know what you're going to say, Lou. Well, we can't afford it. Well, we have to afford it. If you're going to keep a town that everybody wants to keep, we have to pay for these things. It hurts, I'm sorry. We've had, and I was on the original committee that sat down in Schenectady County when the original sales tax split came, Bobby Melchek and I. And it was a battle royal. I don't know what the splits are now, but that money paid for those things. Well, those days are gone. And that money is still coming in, but it's not enough to pay for what's happening now. We've got to change the mentality. I'm sorry. We do. If we're going to stay as a town and handle these things that we've created, we've got to pay for them. And a little at a time is better than all at once. And again, that's the 22%. We can't be playing this game with the taxes. I mean, if you don't have any repairs next year, is the tax going to go down? I mean, it shouldn't be changing that way. That O&M has to be switched over. So, anyway. As I said, please take this as constructive criticism, the start of a conversation. I'm not trying to start something, but we've got to do something. I think we've got to do it now. The longer we wait, the worse it's going to get. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any others? Okay. Melanie, did you have something?
No. I didn't receive any phone calls or emails, if that's what you're asking.
No, I didn't know. I thought you had something. Okay. We'll end the privilege of the floor at 7:34. Thank you again, Paul. We'll certainly get back to you.
Well, thank you for listening. No.
We appreciate it. Department committee reports. Nick is not here, but we, up on Dan Patton Road, DeCarlo cut down some of the trees that were threatening the road. The town is responsible for that portion of the road. There was numerous trees that were leaning over the road that were ready to fall on it. So we got a hold of DeCarlo. He lives in our town, or he's in our town right now. He went up and removed the trees that were threatening the road. We didn't want any of the trees falling on any of the vehicles running over in that small portion of the road that the town is responsible for. I haven't received that bill yet for that, so we're waiting on that. Other than that, Nick has nothing else that he has to report. Our
Well, did Nick fix that fence, the one that got hit by the truck, or wasn't that damaged?
no, yeah, Nick and I, oh yes, Nick and I came up and we took care of the, when they plowed all of that heavy snow we had, they plowed into the fence over there. who we use to plow our road now, the town road. He pushed all the snow up into the fence, and Nick was generous enough again. Nick Senior came up with his backhoe, and I helped him over there, and we shoveled out the snow away from the fence, and he carted it away. So once again, we owe a great deal of gratitude to Nick Senior, our highway superintendent. He certainly is always there on the spot to help us, and I want to thank him publicly for that. So, other than that, there was nothing else with our highway department. All right, in our, where are we here? Clark Collins, our water department. 2020, gallons pumped, 1,603,500, maximum daily average, 124,400, daily average, 51,725. For the year 2020, gallons pumped, 18,527,400. Daily average, 50,883. Monthly average, 1,547,700. Highest monthly June, 2,727,200. Lowest month January, 1,240,100. On Wednesday, January 6th, 2020, we had a valve that let loose because of rotting bolts on 3 valves in the area of Pangburn Road and Birchwood Drive. The water was off for approximately 2.5 hours while repairs were made. We replaced all of the bolts on the 3 valves located in this area. I would like to thank all of the residents who have been keeping the hydrants located on or near the property free from snow. This is greatly appreciated by our volunteer firemen as an imperative that the firemen locate fire hydrants quickly in the case of an emergency. We have many maintenance projects planned for spring 2021 on the water distribution system. We will be redeveloping the wells, painting hydrants, and painting all of the water lines that are located in various underground pits. I would like to thank all of the water department personnel, Wes Blessing, Gene, Rick, for their dedication and hard work this past year. A lot of hard work goes into maintaining a water system to ensure that all of the residents have the volume and quality of water that they deserve. We will continue to do the best in the upcoming year to make our water system serve you. Respectfully submitted, Clark Collins, Water Commissioners. Any questions on that, Doug? No. Any discussion on it? Okay, I'd like to commend Clark, Wes, and his whole team over here for the excellent job they're doing on that. I certainly do appreciate it. And it was quite cold that day this past week, or last week I should say, that they had to repair that water main break. Just a quick comment about our water system. I know that we have a lot of problems with our water system. Everybody says, why can't we go after the contractor to put it in? He's out of business. Doug has observed many of these water main breaks. He's been involved with Clark Collins from Rotterdam for a good many years while we were working with Larner. They worked together on a lot of projects in Rotterdam, repairing water lines. He's observed the way this water system was put in, and it certainly was not put in properly. That's why we had to replace that line out here from Pangburn Road all the way up this past month. And from what I understand, there was 7 more breaks in that were ready to rupture. They had holes in the pipe. There were 7 breaks originally in that they had to repair. And from what I understand, this is from Wesley and Clark, it was never installed properly. They never put the stone, am I correct under this?
They never put the stone and the sand over the top, through the whole system. Somebody got paid off for that.
Well, I can't answer to that, but I know that
There's
you've been
nothing you
involved
can
in
do
it.
about it because it's too late. But they had, McDonald engineers had clerks of the works that was job followers. And somebody must have got paid off, because it never happened.
Well, I know that the system has not been installed properly, and eventually
You're gonna get one right after the other.
they never use stainless steel bolts under the ground.
That
Which is
wasn't their problem though. That was not, McDonald Engineering, when they did the specs, didn't say stainless steel bolts,
And-
okay?
Correct.
But
And that's the engineering fault, and that's why I'm saying, I don't know, you can't do nothing now, because they don't exist either. But this is what's wrong, they should never have done what they done.
the water system, the bottom line is it wasn't installed properly.
Nope.
Now we're left with that, and as time goes on, we just have to keep repairing it. And you've been there, I've been there on these breaks, I was at that one and I saw what transpired this, last week and what happened on Vernon Drive, so, we've had, many issues with this and we're gonna continue to have issues with it. I thank, again, the county for the contribution they gave to the town to, help us out last year, and according to our bookkeeper, we're gonna be in pretty good shape starting in January. They do have to redevelop those wells over here. They've never had any proper maintenance to them for the last 20 years that the system has been in. And they're gonna be working on that, replacing one pump, I think in, what did he say? June. He's gonna replace one pump and then they're gonna do the other, because the one is not pumping properly right now. It's not recovering the way it should. So,
It get plugged up because it's corroded.
yes. But Clark is right on this, Wesley's right on that, they're doing an excellent job and they're on top of it, and,
And it's not their fault.
no.
And Larry gave us a big break by not demanding payment immediately for that repair on Route 7. That was a mess, that whole piece of pipe was shot. And Larry fixed it, and told us he'd give us, what, 90 days till after this year's
Yes,
budget comes in when we have money, because we didn't have money for that, and it had to be done, so, he worked with us there.
My point is, okay, when you take the numbers, like I said before, 0.003 for 52,000 gallons of water. You wanted to raise it to 60, it ended up 0.004 because you don't want to raise the tax. My point is $1 a day. Everybody that's got water coming into their house should pay $1 a day, $365 a year, okay? Then we could build the budget up to do these maintenance things, okay? That's one cup of coffee. Go to Dunkin' Donuts, what's a cup of coffee cost you?
You can't get
What
one
does
for
a
a buck.
bottle of soda cost you? You're paying .003 right now for your water coming in your house. You can't afford $1 a day? Everybody that's on the water system should pay $1 a day. That's my opinion. They can crucify me for what I say, but I'm telling you the truth. You go to Dunkin' Donuts, you can't buy a cup of coffee for $1. You can't go to Stewart's and buy a bottle of soda for $1. You can't afford $1 a day, you're paying .003 a gallon. Figure that out. One cup of coffee a day, don't have it. I said that when we had this discussion before, and now I'm saying it in front of the camera. If you got water coming to your house and you're paying .003 for a gallon, you can't afford one cup of coffee a day? You should raise it. Everybody should pay $1 a day for their water in their house.
Well, We did raise it. We didn't raise it that high, but we did raise it. They're gonna,
Yeah, you didn't rate, you made it
No,
004.
We can't.
You didn't.
yeah, we
You didn't
raised it.
raise
We
it.
raised it.
You did not raise nothing.
We raised the water, right, this year? Yeah, we raised it.
.004.
You raised.
I rest my case, I'll shut my mouth. But I'm just telling you, if everybody that has water in the town of Princetown can't afford $1 a day, then they shouldn't have the water.
Oh, I'm sure we're gonna hear complaints about what we raised it to.
I don't care. I'll tell you right now, I gotta run for election this year and I don't care. If you can't afford $1 a day, 1 cup of coffee, you shouldn't have water in your house.
Well, the average.
You're paying .003.
There should be, and just correct me if I'm wrong, there's the debt service that people have to pay depending on where they are in the water district. And then there's a water fee. And the fee is what we raise.
We
We
raised
don't
the
have-
water fee.
Right, because we don't have
Can't raise the
control.
bond, the bond is.
Yeah, of course not. It is what it is, the bond. But we can control the water fee,
Yes.
which you can call a tax if you want.
It is a tax.
It is
Yeah,
a
okay,
tax.
great. So we had to raise
It's a
that.
tax, $1, I'm saying $365. Do you realize if everybody that's on a water district paid $1 a day, you're paying .003. If everybody paid $1, you know what? We wouldn't have to go to the bank and borrow money
Well,
to
So-
fix it.
we had two options as a board with what was going on within the water district. It was either raise the fee and try to get ahead, and the number we picked was based on what Clark had said.
That's what we based it on.
He ran the
What our-
numbers.
What our water commissioner said is what he would have to have for this coming year. That's what it was based on.
It was enough not only to cover repairs, but across 5 years or so to start to get ahead. Because he anticipates several more problems moving forward. Our other option was maybe a more gradual approach to the fee structure, but then we would have had to borrow money. So now, not only are the fees gonna go up, but you're borrowing money and tacking on interest onto
And
that
where
as
are you
well.
gonna get the money to pay that money that you're borrowing when it ain't enough now?
Well, so our thought was, as much of a substantial tax increase as it is, it should be enough to get us into a place where we don't have to borrow money to do repairs.
Exactly right. That's, we're based, what we did, not to say that you were wrong.
No,
because
no.
What we did, we went on with what our water commissioner had recommended, that this is what we need going forward to maintain the system for this coming year. And that's what will happen the year after. We base everything on, Clark was the lead guy in Rotterdam for, 20 years? He was their guy to go to. He ran that water department. We were fortunate enough to have him. This is what he recommended, this is what he said we needed, and that's what we did. And you're exactly right, Ben, that's exactly why we raised that fee to that amount. He said, this is what we need going forward.
And nobody's seen
For
that
this
fee get raised
year,
yet.
right? You're talking about for this year.
This year, you're gonna
This
get a
year.
raise in your water rate.
Well-
Yes.
And next year, we'll go on what Clark says. He knows what has to be done. He's the one who said, this is the amount of money we need. And we were very fortunate that Larned said he would put this system in over here and replace that line, and we didn't have to pay him. Isla has informed me, and I keep in close contact with her about this. He said we're in fine shape for this coming year.
Oh, that's your problem.
That's all I can say.
So-
She said we're in fine shape this coming year. Go ahead.
Bob,
We can talk about it after.
yeah, I
We can
think
talk
that-
about it after,
I
because
think
there's
that would
more
be
pieces
better.
to
She
this.
said
wanna
we're in
be clear
fine
about
shape for this coming year. I have to believe what she said, and I have to believe what Clark said, and Wesley.
Well, even
They both conferred to this. We met with both of them.
the guy we interviewed as well, who worked in the Rotterdam Water Department for 20 years maybe,
Yeah.
I think,
Just retired from there.
mentioned kind of the uniqueness of the situation we had here. And the fact that we didn't have a contingency fund was a problem.
We
So we
used
tried
to.
to address
As a matter of fact, he is a licensed operator too. We have to have two. We did that. Wesley's in the process of getting his license, so we would have three. We needed two, we got two. We're complying with all the regulations that the state has put on us as far as checking the water. January and February of every year, we have to do a complete water check, analysis of the system. Clark has already done that, submitted it. It's going to come back whether the water needs to be tested every month, which it still does, but it has to be tested for PFOs or whatever it is. And if it comes up too high, then they have to test every month for the whole year for this one thing. This was signed by the governor this past year. And he did that. We're in compliance. Everything is going good with the water department right now. I'm very pleased with it. I know we've had problems with it, but I'm only going, and it's what our water commissioner has said to us and what he has recommended. And that's what he recommended as far as raising the revenue for this year. And in coming years, we don't know what it's going to be. So, and when they repaired that line on Pangburn Road just recently, they didn't just repair that, there was a break in that years before. That same line broke. They only replaced one valve, the bolts on it. They never did the other two or three that they replaced. They had to go in and do it. That system, that was dug up once before. So, and now they're doing it right. Clark said, we got it apart, we're going to do the whole thing so we don't have to come back here again. He did it. So that's the kind of thing that's being done right now, as opposed to just doing a little bit of a repair and then going back and like we just had to do. I give Clark a lot of credit, I give Wesley a lot of credit, and for doing this. They both were on the job on that. They stayed there until the job was done. I'm very happy, and I'm pleased that Clark is still here, and that Wesley's in training, and this new guy that we got, he came on board. He's excellent. I hated to see Preston leave. I thought he was a great kid, and I told him so. And I was sorry to see him leave, but he had other commitments, so I can understand that.
And, you know, as a board, we do have sympathy. Like, you know, this is a substantial tax raise, but we don't, you know, the other choice is to borrow money against our revenue.
Please
And the
further
thing
this
is,
conversation
here's the
after.
thing that and I know we're getting into a long conversation about this, but here's the thing. Gerard and I met, we talked with the bank. You just can't go out and take an anticipation loan out for a municipality, am I correct? You cannot do that. You just can't say, I want $100,000 in case we need it. You have to have a specific purpose for it. Am I correct in that, what the banker told us? You have to have a specific purpose for this.
Correct.
And you cannot say, oh, we're going to use it in anticipation we may need it. That's not the way it works in a municipality. That's not what happens. Am I correct? That's what they told us. I sat there with him when we talked with him about this, because we were in, Jim brought this up. He said, maybe we can get an anticipation loan. We met. You cannot do that. You just can't go out and borrow money and say we're going to use it in case, we're going to keep it in the bank in case we need it. That's not the way it works with a municipality.
That's correct.
So, thank you, Melanie.
Well, that is correct.
That's not the point, though.
So, we did this. I'm only saying that our water commissioner has said what he needs for this upcoming year. He's confident that we're in good shape to do the repairs we need, to do the work on the well, the one well over there, replace the pump, pull it out, do that. That's a costly job.
$70,000.
And then the tank that's leaking, that's been leaking for years, is what they did. They drew the water down so that the leak is not coming out now. Am I correct in that? They lowered the water level, and they're keeping an eye on that, and that's going to be repaired. They're on top of things right now, more so than I've ever seen before.
Fix the tank.
Yes,
There's
they're
another
doing an excellent
70 to
job.
fix the tank.
Lou, I'm not questioning any of that, but I got one question, to be clear. Did you raise the usage fee?
Yes. we did.
What is it now?
What is it saying, 100 and,
No, it's 275, I think, something like that.
For 52,000?
For 52,000?
And then did you raise the per thousand after that?
You were supposed to go 60,000.
No, yeah, we didn't, no,
And it
we
was
kept it at 52,000.
.004.
And but
Okay.
basically, it's a fairly significant percentage raise. We didn't want to go 100%. I know, I'm sympathetic with what Doug is saying, but that would have been 100% raise, and that, we just couldn't do that.
Can I ask a question though? And I know, Ben, my question to you is, when we first started this water system in town, the
Gerard has to
line,
leave.
I'm sorry, Gerard.
Gerard has to leave, he has to go.
Sorry, I have to go.
See,
British
are you? The line on the tax bill for the district was supposed to cover the infrastructure in the town. And every year it was supposed to go down as we paid the debt.
It is going down.
No, this year it went up 21%.
That's my point.
Wait, so
The debt service went up?
That's what you put
the
that's
number,
item
the
is showing.
line item on the tax bill shows a change in percentage of 21%. That means that because of repairs or whatever happened, we were short, right? So where did we make, we weren't short?
Last year,
So,
no.
well, there's.
So what,
is there-
how can our debt
I don't get a
service?
water bill because I live up.
Well,
north.
hold on, wait a minute. Is it at a variable rate? Did it get
So you're saying-
refinanced at a variable rate?
Are you saying the debt service went up?
The line on the tax bill for the
That's not the
town.
debt service line, that's a maintenance.
No, it's not.
No, it's
That is a debt
That's
service
the
line.
problem, Jimmy, that's what sparked
All
this to me.
O&M, all repairs on this system, all usage, all increase in power, all everything was supposed to be on O&M. And that's why Doug's talking about $1 a day.
Is the fee separate from the debt service?
Yeah, it was
supposed to
supposed
be.
to be.
But they're together.
They are now.
That line that you're showing a 22% increase in shouldn't be increasing.
It should be decreasing
That
as
should
the
be
years go
decreasing
up.
as the
So you
bond-
don't
It
have
was
two
only,
separate lines on the tax bill. It doesn't say debt service and then water fee.
Correct.
wait. The only thing that's on the tax bill is for infrastructure, the debt. What you're talking about, the water usage, is the bills that come out once a year. There aren't two
Okay,
lines
so
on
you
the
were
tax
talking
bill.
about the debt service.
I'm
The
talking
debt
about both.
service
Okay.
on the tax bill that we're supposed to be at a fixed rate paying infrastructure
Can you answer?
changed, and it's a 21% increase.
I don't, I
That's-
didn't.
yeah,
And
that-
last year, it was a negative.
yeah,
It
we-
shouldn't be a variable rate
Yeah.
unless it was refinanced at a variable rate, but my suspicion is that the O&M, if we don't have enough money to pay the bill, or we had a lot of repairs, that difference is falling.
No, the fund
on
balance
to-
was positive.
The what?
The fund balance was positive at the end.
Then how did the debt service
How
go
did
up
debt service tax go up
21%?
Right, so that's a different
Right.
issue than what we're talking
And I
about.
don't know, no,
I didn't
it's
know.
all
That's
in
what I was
the
talking
same.
about.
Right, I didn't
Right.
understand that from what you were
Well,
saying.
we'll
The
have to
other-
get back, we can debate this.
So we gotta talk
No,
about.
it's fine.
That's fine.
She left over here and,
This is what needs to be discussed.
But these are pieces maybe
our
you don't
our
know.
debt service was refinanced when Mike Joyce was here.
I
and
know.
was here.
That's right.
We'd love to see
And
it.
the
And
rates,
that number
the rates
should be,
dropped on that.
that number should be stagnant every year
It should be going down.
or going down.
Well, it should
And
be,
you added 22% to it because you needed it for maintenance, and that maintenance money should have come out of the.
O&M, which is where he's talking about
Doug's talking about
375.
raising those fees up for
So
the water
if
use.
what Clark says,
Over
I
5
need
years.
275 this year, for this year, it should cover us. Well, if it doesn't, if we have way many more repairs out there, where do we make up the difference? It's going on the tax bill.
You're adding it to the wrong.
And that's
I
where,
remember Isla explaining it to me, but to be honest with you, I don't remember the details, so I don't wanna give you an absolute answer that we talked to Isla again, but she did talk about it. I remember we discussed this, I
Well-
just can't remember exactly the rationale that was involved in it.
Yeah, the rationale is making up the difference. That's what it is.
But I do know this, your regular water bill is going up.
Yeah, it should,
It should.
right?
Yeah, I don't know what the debt service.
But the debt service should not.
Shouldn't be. And you
And
guys
it's
are showing it
doing,
that
it's
way.
doing this.
Well, the debt service and the O&M is different, it's different than a pure debt service.
But you're showing it together on the bill.
I know, but they're not the same thing.
Understood.
But you're showing it on the tax bill
Well,
then.
I don't make the tax bill up, so I
I
don't
know
know
you
that, I'll have to
don't. I
look
know.
at that.
Well, we can talk about it more after. This is,
Did you get your water tax bill?
Yeah, I don't pay any bills, my wife takes, I wouldn't know how much it costs for heat, lights, and,
it's on the county bill for us in this district. We can talk about it
I
later.
understand what you're saying, I get it,
Yeah.
I thought you meant the fee.
It's, no,
There's a
The
big
debt
difference
service, I
between
pay
the debt service
I go up
and the
and pay the
maintenance.
debt service. The debt service is what it is, it's not gonna have anything to do with the maintenance of the system. I can assure you of
The
that.
debt
Lyle
service doesn't,
explained-
Lou.
Lyle explained this all to me before, she
Well-
explained it to Jim. This is, I think, what the time limit is on that, the first district that was in has not changed. It wasn't worth changing the last district because it wouldn't have saved anything on the interest. We saved it on the first amount, the first district and the second district. We did not save anything on the third district.
Right.
That's why that was not financed. We-
and if it's at it might, here's the point. If it's at a fixed rate, just like a mortgage,
Yeah, it shouldn't change.
and it's on that line on the tax bill, and it's fixed, it should be gradually going down until it's paid off, and that's not what's occurring.
You just
So
showed
wherever
us a
the
22%
difference is,
increase.
Okay.
right,
That's not where it
where
belongs.
she's making up the difference of the O&M on the tax
On the
bill.
tax.
No, they're not.
Well, then where's the increase
That's
coming
not
from,
what's happening. We're
Lou?
not taking money out of that. Now, you know that that's not what's happening, Melanie. They're not taking money out of that. That would be people that are not on paying, they're not on the water system, paying for the water system, the maintenance of it.
Look,
That's not
you
what's
ask her,
Lou,
you ask
Look at
her.
your tax bill, Lou, and see if it went up.
Last year it was negative 2%.
Right.
This year it's 21% increase. So if we're at a fixed rate, a fixed mortgage, how can it be different?
Well, we can debate this for another hour.
There's not debating, that's what we're bringing to your
We can debate this for
attention.
another hour, but if you'd like, I'll call Island and get this settled right now.
I would love to see the numbers.
Okay, give me your number, Sandy. Do you have the Island's number?
I'm pretty sure she doesn't have all the,
Sure she does, she knows exactly what's going on.
right, she does know exactly what's going on.
Her
explain it to me, and I just can't remember it in detail, so I don't wanna,
But Jimmy, you
Speak
do
up.
agree they're supposed to be separate.
she'll know.
Hmm.
You can add them together, but it doesn't, that's not the way it works.
Hi, Isla. Hey, could you explain to me what the tax bills consist of, what the OEM is for?
22%.
It's not,
Okay, what the maintenance is, the paying off the loans, what is why is the rate gone up this year?
The OEM.
mm-mm.
Yes, the debt service. Right, now, why did the bond figure change? The first district. Oh, gotcha. Okay, got it. All right. Right. Okay, all right, thank you very much, Isla. I'm sorry to have bothered you. Okay. Okay, so it's based on the assessed value of the properties of the district. That's why it went up. If the assessed values go down, the rates go up. Gotcha. Okay, that answers the question. All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye. You got that? That's why.
The assessed property values
If
change?
the assessed property values go down, the rates go up. If the and we lost a couple of big assessments by our old assessor
Yeah, hundreds
He
of
never-
thousands of dollars.
that he never followed through on. That's why he's no longer with us, in case anybody wants to know. Our old assessor is gone because of what he did
We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax.
on the assessed value of property.
Assessment law.
That's why we no longer have that that's
In
no
the-
longer why we have that assessor.
In the water district.
Pardon?
Yes,
In the
no,
water.
these properties were in the water
It
district.
was in the water district, and
So,
because he never followed through on what he was supposed to do,
Okay.
that's why he's gone.
so you're saying a higher assessed house would pay more on debt
Yes.
service?
The lower assessment, we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on the assessed values of these properties because they took us to court and nobody knew anything about it. It's water over the dam now. I didn't know about it. Our attorney didn't know about it. We found out about it when nobody showed up defending the
Well,
town.
I'm just trying to address this issue. So because those houses were assessed lower, their debt service went lower,
Yes,
and then that trickled out to other people's
Yes.
homes to equalize it. Does that kind of make sense?
That makes sense. There's a formula, Ben,
Yeah,
okay?
all right.
Every house, if there's 100 houses in the water district, it wasn't broke up over the bond, wasn't split up by 100, okay? There's a
Unless
form-
every house was valued exactly the
Correct.
same.
There was a
Okay.
formula that
I got
was
it.
used, okay?
well, this
We
is what
were-
happened, and it was what happened. This assessor is what he did.
Okay.
was unbelievable, the things that he did over here, and never told us what was never told me, never was told the board. He went ahead and did these things, and we didn't know about it until our attorney called me, and he said, did you know that we never showed up for court? I says, for what court? What happened? He says, we were taken to court for 2 assessments in this town that were, they fought the assessment. He tried to raise their assessment, and he never showed up for court. I
And we
confronted
lost
him
by
on it.
default, and it was a substantial amount of money.
Well, that makes sense, Dick, okay?
And that's what happened.
When
That
we
was
see
not brought up.
maintenance bills,
We
now
settled
being
with
covered
him,
and a
and he's
22%
gone.
increase.
And this is what happens when somebody does these kind of things, never notified the town board of what he was doing. And it wasn't until Gerard called me and he says, we never showed up for court. I said, what court? What are you talking about? He says, somebody took us to court to lower their assessments. 2 of them that were, he tried raising them, and then they ended up going lower than what they were
They
supposed
were
to
the
be.
2 biggest, most highly appraised values in town.
So we don't have to say anymore.
And that's fine, and we appreciate it, but you gotta see, when you see a huge jump on
I
a
know, but
bill,
we're getting into this over here, and we're tying
And
up
we
the
told
whole
you we'd
town
wait
board
until
meeting for this,
after.
and we shouldn't be.
Wow.
So now it's all out, and it's all over.
well, it
with.
should be out. This is our
I know,
information
I know,
to
but we
know.
could have discussed this after the meeting, but since it was brought up over here, and we kept talking about it, and this is what happens over here. This is why the assessment is like it is. It had nothing to do with us. I didn't know about it. Nobody on the board knew about what had happened. That's why he's gone. That's why we have another assessor in here. And we were fortunate enough to get this assessor in here, who's doing an excellent job working with Isla. These are the kind of things that went out and nobody knew what was going on because he just kept it to himself. Never said anything. When I asked him, everything's fine. And he's going out and doing all of these things. Thank God he's gone. Thank you, Lord. Another thing we had to deal with over the past year, that the town board had to deal with and pay for, which was disgusting, in my opinion. Another sleepless night over it. All right, moving on. Ben?
Well, let's talk about water's making me thirsty, Lou. Had just 3 calls over the past month for dogs that were wandering, and found all 3 owners, relocated them back. Other than that, everything's fine.
I didn't catch the whole thing, Ben.
What's that?
I didn't hear exactly all the things I just said.
Three separate incidents with dogs. Somebody called, said, I have somebody's dog, I don't know who it is.
What'd you do?
We just go around the neighborhood and looking and relocate them. I'm not gonna take them to the shelter. I got them back to their owners.
Oh, okay.
Well, 3. The last one was with Judge Van Wert. She needed some info on possible address where she thought the dog's owner may be. So I looked that up and found the owner's phone number, and it was the dog's owner. So they got the dog back.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Anything else?
That'll do it.
Any questions for Ben? Okay. And the building inspector. Total permits 1, permits issued 1, permit inspection fees collected $50, building inspections 10, zoning review 1, fire inspection 0, final building inspectors 4, certificates of occupancy compliance 1, bank deposit report $50, check to supervisor 00, checkbook balance as of January 11th, 2021, $508.14, activities in zoning 1, to working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit final inspection as needed, reviewing plans as needed. Thomas Vereen, building inspector. Is there any questions for him, Doc? Okay. I don't have a report from the judge. She was here. She was supposed to meet with Gerard to look over the books, but he's going to come back with her since Gerard had the problem he has with the loss of his nephew. I don't have a report from the building inspector. Buildings and grounds, they're going to be changed. They're going to be shutting the power off this Thursday in the building. They're changing the lights over on the roadway coming in, tying it into the town hall to eliminate that bill out there. That'll save the town, I don't know, approximately whatever that bill is. It runs about $1,000 a year, I think, maybe $800. But that's going to be on there. So that's going to save the town some money on that. They're going to do that on Thursday. They're going to shut the power off probably between 8 and 8:30 this Thursday. Jim, do you have to be here for the computer system?
I got my computer guy coming Wednesday to my house. I'll ask him what the deal is, if it's going to be a concern. If it is, I'll call on this and that would be great. I don't think it is.
Because you don't think so?
I don't think so, no.
Well, according to us, he was worried about the computer system coming back up and saying.
Well, I can call on this tomorrow, and I'll also get my computer guy. I'll call on this tomorrow and ask him.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. Okay, as you noticed over here, we do have that maintenance man coming in. He's been monitoring the people coming into the town hall. We're only open for 3 hours a day now per the governor's orders over here, what we have to do. He's been doing a great job. He's a contractor. He's also a school bus driver, and he's been repairing. He's going to start painting the inside of the whole building. He repaired all of it, if you noticed up in the corners there. He did that, and he's doing a pretty good job too, I might add. And he's checking people coming in, he's here for 3 hours a day. He's also taking the place of Preston, which I said, I'm sorry to see leave, but he's gonna help out with the water as needed. So he didn't have to go on a water break, he stayed here, and he's been doing an excellent job, I think. If you have any complaints with him, Sandy's pleased with him, saw what's going on, he's been checking the temperatures of people coming into the building, and doing the contact tracing as he's supposed to, writing down their names of people coming in, and phone numbers and what have you, in case there's a problem. As far as the building and grounds, that's all I have for that. We don't have any problems at the state police right now. They wanted some doors put in, new doors. We haven't gotten any estimates on replacing those doors yet. They said that they needed them, but after talking with, going over and meeting in Albany with them, they don't want me to do anything over there unless it's approved from now on from the corporate offices over in Albany. They told me that just because they want work done in the building, I'm not supposed to do it unless I get it okay from their superiors, so we'll wait on that. Discussion on the zoning board, Stephens, what do you guys think? We can settle this right now.
Are you talking about the 20 cents?
No, I'm talking about.
The stipend. Well, the language is pretty clear, that they get the stipend. 2020, there was nothing in the language 2020 about attending a meeting or anything. Apparently.
Yeah, it's not. The way it was written, they should just be paid.
So contractually, we have to certainly live by that contract, so we owe them the money. There's no question, it's black and white.
Okay.
That's the way the 2020 was written. I mean,
Yeah, am I seeing it wrong?
Picture on my phone. No.
You're saying that's contract.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Doug?
So the question is, going forward, 2021, because we don't want to revisit this problem next year, my assumption would be that in 2021, we'll have at least one meeting, correct?
We're working on it.
So, well, before, look,
Let's see.
Don't know
That was
if
supposed to
that's
call me today.
the way it's written in today's agenda, or at the organizational meeting, whatever we approved, it was contingent on having a meeting. So in theory, if there were no meetings, they would get paid nothing.
2021.
For 2021. So Jack's point was, well, they've got to do 6 hours of mandatory training. And so to pay nothing isn't necessarily fair, I guess, would be what you were getting at.
Well, and to make my job easier, and maybe to have those that are taking positions fulfill the state mandates that's required on the town, maybe we can put that attached to them doing the harassment training
Okay, so
and,
if you do 6 hours of training and get paid $220, I mean, you're upwards of $35, $40 an hour just to do the trainings, which is probably excessive. So my opinion would be, if you don't meet, maybe it's not the full stipend, but you still had to do the trainings, maybe something could be paid for that. $100 if you just have to do the trainings.
I don't want to nickel dime these folks. They're volunteers essentially. And I'm a numbers guy, a statistical guy. The odds of going a full year without a meeting are very slim. Would you say that?
We're working on it.
I mean, well, yeah,
We already have one brewing.
We have 1 year.
Yeah, I
the
think we
year
had a
before,
rare
the
year.
year before that had 10 meetings.
That's what I'm saying. The
Right.
odds of
So they get $220 for 10
odds of
meetings.
going another year without a meeting are like 1 in a million. So in my opinion, personally, I have no problem paying the stipend because statistically, you're not going to have another COVID year where there's no meetings. I mean, it could happen, but statistically, it will not happen again. I think it was really kind of a one-off. And again, nickel diming them $100, I can't see it. I think that we should go back to the language of 2020. I don't have a problem with that. Does anybody else?
No, I don't.
I say go back to the language of
Because if you
2020.
put them on the board, they ought to get paid.
Exactly. So let's go back to the language of 2020 and forget everything else in between. And please send our apologies that there was confusion over that issue, and we'll make sure we make it right.
I'll do
I
that.
agree.
Sure, yeah, I'm fine with that. I didn't know if you wanted an alternate solution, but that's fine too.
They're cutting hairs, or,
Let's put it to bed right now.
if we get that short of money, we're gonna put some plywood on the doors and fold up shop.
You agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, yeah.
Jim?
Yes,
And
Doug?
like you said, because there's years there might be 10 meetings,
yeah.
and years there might be 1 or none, fine.
I don't recall it ever a
This year
year
they didn't
without
have
a meeting.
any because of the corona.
Right,
Yeah,
You
and
can't
I was on
even
that
come
board
in
at
the
one time.
town hall.
I don't remember ever not having a meeting.
okay. So then I have to
That's-
eliminate that
We
wording.
gotta eliminate that wording, go back to the 2020 wording, and please apologize and take care of that.
Okay. Good, Jack?
Fine with me.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell Greg I said hi.
I will.
Is he over there?
No, his wife wants to stay home again because of her losing her aunt when I raised her.
Yeah.
She's pretty shaken up, so,
Yeah, that's the one over the weekend.
yeah, so.
Okay, moving on. Public hearings, we don't have any. Meeting minutes. It is hereby resolved the meeting minutes of December 8th, 2020 regular town board meeting are approved or as amended, and January 4th, 2021 organizational meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion?
I have a question.
Yes,
Since
go ahead.
Gerard's not here, can we just say right now that we're going to amend Resolution 21-29 for the ZBA stipends and get rid of the wording that says contingent on the ZBA?
Yeah.
So I will amend that according to this.
Can we vote on that now?
So I'm going to add to this resolution, I'm going to amend Resolution 21-29 to remove the wording that the ZBA needs to have a meeting in order to get their stipend.
Okay.
Okay?
Want to take a vote on that?
And we gotta make the motion, I'll make
Make the motion.
the motion.
A second.
I'll second.
Say
Hold on, I'm almost there.
And this is also to vote on the meeting minutes?
Yeah, that is the meeting minutes of the board meeting, the January 4th meeting.
Okay,
I'm
so that gets
amending
put
it
in
as
this.
well as we're approving the rest, okay?
Yep.
All right. Councilmember Pavolli?
Yes,
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
yes. Temporary town hall office hours is hereby resolved that due to the health and safety concerns related to the COVID-19 pandemic, that until further notice, office hours at the town hall are temporarily as follows: Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We discussed this. The governor has said that he actually wanted 2 people in here, one to wash the disinfect everything that when somebody comes in, and one to check temperatures and do whatever. But that's why we lowered it down to 3 hours from 10 to 1, and actually, I guess that's what we're gonna have to do, so. And it's gonna be Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I guess it's working out pretty well, isn't it, Sandy?
Yes.
Yes. So, any further discussion on it? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
second,
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso? Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Okay. Town of Princetown Health Emergency Plan. This is another thing that has to be done by April 1st, another mandate that the state has put on us, that we have to have done by April 1st, a plan put in place how we're supposed to replace people, and what the plans consist of, and it has to be approved by the state. Jim worked on this. Thank you, Jim, for doing this.
does this get submitted to the state?
Yes, it has to go to the state by April 1st, they have to approve it. But we have to pass the resolution to send it to the state.
I read through it, it seems fine. Addresses, I read through it. I mean, it addresses the cleaning protocol and working remotely, you know, and basically the executive order was you needed a plan that not just addresses COVID-19, but any
Plan, you're right.
Any kind of-
Any health emergency.
Yeah, any health emergency, so it kind of just outlines what, you know, the town employees would do, elected or appointed or whatever, in the event of a health crisis. So it's pretty straightforward, you know, the PPE, the personal protective equipment, cleaning.
You know what's amazing about this? They come up with these things. They never notify the town, unless I read about it in the magazine or something. They never notify us about any of this. They just pass these laws and these mandates, and
You know, what's
If
more
you're not-
reason is they never come up with any money for you to implement.
no,
No,
there's
no
no
one
money to
just passed the
implement
law,
it,
so you do
nothing.
it.
They just come up with this, and unless you,
Yeah.
unless somebody,
Yeah.
they don't send you a notice that you have to do this, I just happen to read about it and mention it to
I
Jim.
think just
He worked-
assume you got a staff in here that's gonna come up with this stuff too. I mean, you know,
Well, a lot of times those executive orders were geared towards bigger municipalities,
Correct.
you know, where there's like an entire IT staff and an entire
You mean like New York
staff,
City?
several employees.
We have to comply with it, and if you don't comply, it was just like this water thing that we came up with over here, I read it in that, the associations of town about what the water commission was supposed to do checking the water, a new mandate that came on with that. And he didn't know nothing about it until he read it, I showed it to him, he read it, and he had to call and get all the information and implement the plan. Nobody tells you anything. And then if they come in and they say, well, why didn't you do this? I guess, you know, we're at fault. But,
Ready to approve it?
I'm ready to approve it, yes.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a,
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Javaldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. All right, executive order 202, is that the same one over here?
No, this one was, I thought related to property taxes. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this. And it's too bad Gerard's not here, but the way I understood this one, so every year if you're I think it was senior or disabled, you have to apply for your exemption.
Oh, yes, that came from
So-
Iowa, this is, yes.
Basically,
We're
what
not gonna
this,
have to do that now.
yeah, what this executive, or this, you know, executive order that we're passing here basically says that, I think it applied to senior citizens and
Yes.
disabled, that you won't have to reapply for either this year, next year, or both.
Yes, you're correct. It's not gonna go through the assessor's office anymore.
Right,
It's gonna be taken over by the state.
yeah.
That was another thing he did over here. I think they're in the process of eliminating this, you know, from what I understand.
That's what I heard. I agree.
Yes, they're gonna eliminate this,
But, you know, it was kind of in light of the COVID pandemic, you don't have to reapply, it's just going to be applied automatically. And this will allow us to do that within the Princetown tax base.
yes, and this resolution has to be done this year too.
How
So,
about the agriculture?
I don't know anything about that. That's all I know is
You
that
gotta do that every year.
I know that they're going to, from what I understand, they're gonna be working on, he doesn't wanna give those, grants or those, tax breaks to seniors any longer. So, adopt provisions of Executive Order 202.83. Whereas the Governor of the State of New York, by Executive Order Number 202 dated March 7, 2020, declared a state disaster emergency for the entire state of New York, and whereas both travel-related and community contact transmission of COVID-19 have been documented in New York State and are expected to continue, and whereas pursuant to Section 29A, Article 2B of the Executive Law, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo did issue Executive Order 202.83 dated December 18, 2020, which authorized by the local option the governing body to adopt a provision of that Executive Order 202.83, which temporarily suspends or modifies subdivision 7/7A and 8 of Section 4 459C of the real property tax law and subdivisions 5-5-A, 5-B, 5-C, and 6 of section 467 of the real property tax law. I'm sure everybody understands all of that, too.
Well, it's 459 is disabilities, qualifying disabilities, and 467 is senior citizens with the qualifying incomes, is what it says.
All right, we're not done yet here, so now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Executive Order 202.83 issued by the New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo on December 18, 2020, the Town Board of the Town of Princeton hereby adopts a local option, the suspension of subdivisions 7/7A and 8 of section 459C of the real property tax law, subdivisions 5-5A, 5B, 5C, and 6 of section 467 of the real property tax law, and be it further resolved that the Board of Assessors are hereby directed to grant exemptions pursuant to such sections on 2021 through 2022 assessment roll to all property owners who received that exemption on 20/2021 assessment roll, thereby dispensing with the need for renewal applications from such persons, and further dispensing with the requirement of the Board of Assessors to mail renewal applications to such persons, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the Board of Assessors and to the Office of the Attorney General, and be it further resolved that all town hall departments may review and obtain a copy of this resolution from the electronic storage device if needed, and if needed, a certified copy of the same may be obtained from the Office of the Town Clerk. Is there any discussion on it? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Zoning Board of Appeals appointment. It is hereby resolved that Mary Jo Vincent is hereby appointed as member to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire 12/31/25. Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. You have 2 more appointments for that department, right? Am I correct? 1?
An alternate, yeah.
Do you have anybody in mind?
Not right at the moment.
Okay. Let us know by next meeting then if you got something.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. General funds claim, abstract number 13 of 2020. Is hereby resolved that the town board approves claims number 246 through number 262 in the amount of $12,968.18. Is there a discussion? Any motion on it?
I'll make it.
Is there a second? Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. It is hereby resolved that the, water funds claim abstract 13 of 2020 is hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 180 through number 189 in the amount of $7,871.53. Discussion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Highway funds claim abstract number 13 of 2020 is hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 9 in the amount of $320 for snow plowing.
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Trust and agency claim abstract number 13, 2020. It is hereby resolved the town board approves claim number 7 in the amount of $4,500. Any discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second it. Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. General funds claim abstract number 1 of 2021 is hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 1 and number 11 in the amount of $11,630.30. Any discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Water fund claims abstract number 1 of 2021 is hereby resolved that the town board approves claim number 1 through number 5 in the amount of $11,713.18. Is there discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Council members' comments or discussion?
All right, so I talked to Dave Geisinger maybe a week ago or so, and he asked about the newsletter, because I guess Recycle Day was typically advertised in the spring newsletter.
Yes.
So I don't know if we're sending that out. I know we were supposed to discuss that, but he was just asking about advertising Recycle Day and its connection with the newsletter. And what I told him is, you know, the newsletter might be online, or will be online.
It will be online.
Yeah, and so we'll have, you know, several printed copies here at Town Hall, but it would be advertised how it would be in the newsletter. It'll just be online, is what I told him.
Are we gonna still do it twice a year, the newsletter?
Well, didn't we discuss over here that we were going to do it online to try to save the money and do one newsletter this coming year?
Well,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
we did the newsletter already, the fall newsletter, that's out. You wanna do one printed one, or you wanna do no printed
Well,
one?
what did we say at the last meeting?
I don't-
I think we said over here we were gonna do it online.
Just online, no
Yeah,
printing
and
at
we're
all.
gonna do everything online, we're gonna have a printed copy here because of the cost that's involved with it. We're trying to cut down on the cost. And we were gonna put this over here,
So print like maybe 100 copies and bring them here.
yeah.
Well, I mentioned,
What was our cost for that this past year?
600 for the printing, roughly, another 500-600 for the mailing, so about 1,100 just for printing and mailing.
and that's each, right? So 2,200 total?
Yes, that would be
Yeah,
about,
two.
that would be about 2,200 total for two. And that doesn't count, I get a little bit of money for doing the work, so that doesn't even count that. So total budget for that's
And the
probably,
labor putting this together,
yeah, it's up there almost $3,000. So if we put it online, you're still gonna have to pay me, which is peanuts. I don't get much for it, and I'll have to print 100 copies. And put the 100 copies here.
Yeah, we can do the copies here.
Yeah, and then, you know, Recycle Day, I'm assuming, can be advertised on the website,
Yes.
so.
I haven't talked to our webmaster either. I'm assuming it's no problem for her to put it on. I haven't talked to her about that, but I will.
Well, he wanted me to ask, so.
If we, do we dare advertise that in the paper?
What's that?
Do we recycle that? I don't know.
In the Gazette?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty expensive for a display ad because that's going to cost you $200 a quarter at least. I mean, we're doing this to save money. I don't know if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're right. All right, is he sad? He was good with that though, right? Ed?
Yeah, he just wanted me to ask. I don't think he had an opinion.
If we get a lot of negative feedback about not getting the printed thing, we could go back to it, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're trying to cut back on what we're doing over here. You know, everybody's donating their time and doing all these things over here, and then we're just gonna throw money away on something like this.
Well-
I don't know if it's,
We'll have printed copies for the people that want them. You'll just have to make the trek down to Town Hall, I guess. So. I don't know.
what do you think, Doug?
Just do it online. I don't have online, so it don't matter, I already know,
That's
so.
what
Just
we're
in
gonna-
the town board meeting, have it at the town board meeting,
That's true.
say this is when it's gonna be, it's on television.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can have some copies.
Yeah, we advertise it on here, a lot of people look at it. Maybe they'll start broadcasting again down at the city over here. I know it's still closed, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause I'm getting a
The
lot
only
of
way you can get the
complaints
meetings
that
over
you're
here is
not,
through YouTube.
they can't get it on their television.
that's, yeah, they got that all shut down at Proctor, so.
And they're still shut down. The only way you can get it is on YouTube.
know enough what's going on, I really don't wanna know no more.
Doug, you got anything? No. Jim?
No, I'm only going back very quickly to readdress the water thing. We spent a lot of time, actually, on this water issue, because we were very concerned about not having enough money. We did raise the rates, the water rates. We're gonna get a lot of negative feedback, I'm sure, once these come out. We had no choice, you know, we just had to do it. We didn't have any choice. It just, we have to start having money set aside for unforeseen emergencies. We're hoping that this water rate is gonna give us enough to start building the pot up a little bit. You know, it's unfortunate because a 19-year-old system is not considered old in a water district, by the way. An old system is 100 years old.
That's why we can't get our grant money. That's what
19
we're
years
told.
old is nothing. That's why nobody wants to help us. We can't get grants. You know, it's considered a young system and
Yes, it
relatively
is.
new.
Yeah.
But, so that's one problem. The other problem is demographically, the per capita income in the town of Princeton is high enough where we just simply go above that per capita where the feds want to help us with any kind of grant money. So the odds of getting a grant going forward are probably very slim.
That's one of the two main reasons why we can't get it. The system is too young and the per capita income is just like Jim says, is too high. We even looked at providing water up in Willow Run, and the cost for that, after they did the engineering study on it, the people up in Willow Run could never have afforded it.
No.
It was, and we were not gonna get any money from the state or the feds to put it up there, only because the income level's too high up there. So, and there's not, and one of the things that people have said to me, we're gonna give water to outside users, and you're not gonna provide water for us up here. That's another thing that people get upset about in this town, and to be quite honest with you, I don't blame them.
It's just, right now, it's not feasible for that, engineering-wise, cost-wise, we can't bring the water up to Willow Run at this point. We looked into it, we even got estimates, right?
Yes, I didn't even send them out to the residents up there because I was afraid of what the feedback would have been.
And the other issue, as far as extending the water district, we've had problems where we've extended the water district. We've had contracts where they were supposed to pay us for the infrastructure on a yearly basis. And then, a few years, I don't want it anymore. So we're stuck with all that extra expense. And that's one of the reasons that precipitated the non-extension policy. Because we just simply don't want to run into that. How many times did that happen to us? A couple times?
Oh, more so than you want to know.
You know, when somebody wants to build, they're all excited, they'll say anything and they'll do anything. But once it's done, then it's the problem of getting paid indefinitely. You might get paid for a year or two, but in these cases, they stop paying us, right?
Yes. So, anything else, Jim?
No.
That's where we stand with the water anyway, that we've had a lot of discussion about that. And like I said, Willow Run was very, they wanted water up there, but we couldn't provide it to them. The other thing is over there, I said about what had happened with our assessor. I'm sorry that had happened. That happened just last year. And he resigned. He turned in his resignation after Gerard and I talked to the judge and found out all the things that transpired between him and the court, and all our communications that emails that went back and forth, and letters written to him, and certified letters. None was sent to my attention. And after we had an executive meeting and we discussed it, he decided to resign.
Well, I didn't realize too that
Pardon?
the trickle effect of what that did. I don't know much about the water district. It's not, you know, it was put in way before I moved into Princetown. I don't live in a water district, but I learned about it as we discuss it here or talk about it in executive session. And I didn't realize that you know, changing the assessment so much on one home would trickle down.
When you're talking million-dollar homes,
Right.
this has a huge effect on a small town like this.
Yeah.
And we were talking million-dollar homes here,
Yeah,
two of them.
yeah, I didn't know that would happen, I didn't know there was a formula that.
We didn't know it either.
Yeah,
How are we see that,
right.
what are we to assume without knowing that information? There's no way to know except you guys have buried the repairs in it, that's what it looks like.
This way.
And believe me, we
But
went
that's not the
through,
case at
we
all.
went through hell with that whole deal. We tried fighting it. Our attorney finally told us, forget it.
That's
You
completely
can't
out of
get
your
it court and
control.
cost you more than you'll get, so we just.
We had to give them money back.
That's out of your control. That's not your fault.
Right, I forgot about that. We had to actually give them money back.
Yeah, but that's not your fault, that's nothing that you had any control over. So don't, don't look at it that way, because that's not what
Well,
happened.
this is what happens over here though, when, everything was kept hush-hush, and like I said, until our attorney called me and told me what happened. I mean, I was like shocked, so was everybody on the board. Ben had just gotten in the office at the time when that happened.
It was a weird
All hell
experience.
broke loose, and that's what happened. But it's water over the dam, it's done with, nothing we can do about it now, except move forward. It's a shame that somebody thinks that they come in here and thinks that they're just working for themselves and they don't have to answer to anybody is kind of appalling to me, that they could, that they would think that they could do this and not let us know. And I certainly let them know, didn't I, Doug?
And we're also paying the price for that.
When we had the
because
meeting with them, and I'm not gonna say.
We're all paying for that now because we lost a lot of assessment, a lot of
Look at the
assessment.
effect that it has apparently elsewhere, it's all because of
Yeah.
the actions of one individual.
And those two, actually, and those properties are getting away with,
Well, I don't blame people for wanting their assessment lower, so be it, I mean, you have that right to fight that. Certainly if you have the resources to do it, but, the negligence was just.
When you act on your own without notifying the town board of what's going on, and you're doing this on your own, and raising somebody's assessment, not telling you what's going on, and then this comes to light, that really is.
Look at the effect. Months later, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. Thank you all.
Councilman Pavolli?
yes,
Councilman Gregory?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Oh,
Yes.
I think I got those things for you.